they expected Judge Caprio to follow protocol. But what he did next would change everything. The 70-year-old veteran standing before him trembled, tears streaming down his weathered face. His military bearing, once rigid and unshakable, had completely collapsed. Every person in the courtroom held their breath, waiting to see if justice would show mercy or if the law would crush a broken man. "Your Honor," the veteran's voice cracked, "I know what I did was wrong, but I haven't eaten in 3 days." Judge Caprio's eyes met his, and something shifted in the air. The courtroom grew still. The moment was heavy with anticipation. No one yet knew the full story of what this man had done for his country or what his country had done to him in return. At 10:47 a.m., the doors of the Providence Municipal Court opened to something unusual. Robert Chen, Vietnam War veteran, shuffled toward the defendant's table. His clothes were clean but worn, pressed but outdated. His hands shook slightly as he gripped a manila envelope containing his documents. The bailiff called the case, State vs. Robert Chen, shoplifting in the third degree. Judge Caprio looked up from his papers. Decades on the bench had taught him to see beyond the charge sheet, to recognize the human story behind every case. "Mr. Chen," Judge Caprio began, his voice a blend of authority and warmth, "I see you are here without an attorney. Do you understand the charges against you?" Chen straightened his shoulders, the muscle memory of decades in the Marines forcing him into a rigid stance even as his spirit faltered. "Yes, Your Honor. I took food from the grocery store. I didn't pay for it. Tell me what happened." The veteran's voice, trained by military discipline, delivered the facts clearly. 3 days ago, I went to Murphy's Market on Federal Hill. I took a loaf of bread, peanut butter, and a carton of milk. Total value $8.47. Judge Caprio nodded, thinking this was a standard shoplifting case. But something about the man's bearing, the quiet dignity beneath his desperation, suggested a deeper story. "Mr. Chen, do you have a job?" "No, Your Honor. I've been looking for 2 years. I'm 70, and most places," his voice trailed off, the reality of age and opportunity hanging in the air. "What about Social Security? Veteran benefits?" Chen's hands clutched the envelope tighter. His military bearing wavered. "There's been a problem with my benefits. The VA says there's missing paperwork from my service record. They've been reviewing my case for 8 months. Judge Caprio set down his pen. He had presided over countless bureaucratic nightmares, but something about this man's quiet desperation struck differently. "What branch of the military, Mr. Chen?" "United States Marine Corps, Your Honor. 1970 to 1974. 2 tours in Vietnam." Caprio leaned forward. "And what did you do in Vietnam?" Chen hesitated, then spoke, compelled by the judge's calm authority. "I was a helicopter door gunner. Later, I volunteered for reconnaissance missions, deep patrol work." The courtroom went silent. Even the court reporter paused, caught up in the gravity of what she was witnessing. "Reconnaissance work is dangerous," Judge Caprio observed. "Yes, Your Honor. Very dangerous. Did you receive any commendations?" Chen withdrew a folder from his envelope. Inside were faded but carefully preserved military documents, 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star with V for Valor, and a Silver Star. "The Silver Star?" Caprio's voice caught slightly. "One of America's highest military honors." "Yes, Your Honor. For actions during the Tet Offensive." The courtroom murmured. Judge Caprio had seen thousands of cases, but never a Silver Star recipient for shoplifting. "Mr. Chen, would you tell us what you did to earn the Silver Star?" The prosecutor shifted uncomfortably. This was not standard procedure for a minor theft, but Caprio's authority was absolute. Chen's eyes went distant. "January 31, 1968. Tet Offensive. Our firebase was overrun. I was wounded, but 7 Marines were trapped in a bunker surrounded by enemy forces. I went back for them 3 times. Got all 7 out. Lost a lot of blood. Spent 6 months in a military hospital, but they all made it home." Caprio sat back, absorbing the story. Here stood a man who had risked everything for his fellow Marines, bled for his country, and had been decorated for heroism, now standing in a courtroom for a loaf of bread. They thought Judge Caprio would follow protocol. But what he did next would shock everyone in the courtroom, veteran and spectators alike. The 70-year-old man before him trembled, tears streaming down his weathered face. His military bearing, once rigid and proud, had collapsed. Every person in the courtroom held their breath. Would justice show mercy, or would the law crush a broken man? "Your Honor," the veteran's voice cracked, "I know what I did was wrong, but I haven't eaten in 3 days." Judge Caprio's eyes met his, and the air shifted. The room grew silent. What this man had done for his country, and what his country had done to him, would soon astonish everyone present. At 10:47 a.m., Robert Chen, Vietnam War veteran, shuffled toward the defendant's table. His clothes were clean but worn, pressed but outdated. His hands shook slightly as he clutched a manila envelope containing his documents. The bailiff called the case, State vs. Robert Chen, shoplifting in the third degree. Caprio looked up. Decades on the bench had taught him to see beyond the charge sheet, to recognize the human story behind every case. "Mr. Chen," he began, voice firm but warm, "I see you are here without an attorney. Do you understand the charges against you?" "Yes, Your Honor," Chen replied, straightening his shoulders out of habit from decades in the Marines. "I took food from the grocery store. I didn't pay for it. Tell me what happened." Chen's voice, trained by military discipline, delivered the facts clearly. 3 days ago, I went to Murphy's Market on Federal Hill. I took a loaf of bread, peanut butter, and a carton of milk. Total value, $8.47. Caprio nodded. Standard shoplifting case. But something in Chen's bearing, the quiet dignity beneath his desperation, suggested a deeper story. "Do you have a job, Mr. Chen?" "No, Your Honor. I've been looking for 2 years. I'm 70, and your benefits?" Chen's hands tightened on the envelope. "There's been a problem with my VA benefits. They've been reviewing my case for 8 months. I've gone without food while waiting." Caprio paused. He had seen bureaucratic nightmares before, but this quiet desperation struck differently. "What branch of the military?" "United States Marine Corps. 1970 to 1974. 2 tours in Vietnam." "And what did you do in Vietnam?" "I was a helicopter door gunner, later, volunteered for reconnaissance missions, deep patrols." The courtroom went silent. Even the court reporter's typing slowed. "Reconnaissance work is dangerous," Caprio observed. "Yes, Your Honor. Very dangerous. I received 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star with V for Valor, and a Silver Star during the Tet Offensive." The courtroom murmured. Caprio had presided over thousands of cases, but never a Silver Star recipient for shoplifting. "Tell us about the Silver Star," Caprio urged. Chen's eyes went distant. "January 31, 1968. Tet Offensive. Our firebase was overrun. I was wounded, but 7 Marines were trapped in a bunker. I went back 3 times. Got all 7 out. Lost a lot of blood. Spent 6 months in the hospital, but they all made it home." Caprio leaned forward, absorbing every word. Here was a man who had risked everything for his comrades, honored with one of America's highest military decorations, now standing in court for a loaf of bread. Then Caprio rose from his bench, something he rarely did during proceedings. The courtroom went silent. "Mr. Chen," he said, voice steady and commanding, "I want you to understand something. In 37 years on this bench, I have never had a Silver Star recipient appear before me. You saved 7 lives in Vietnam. 7 Marines returned home because of your courage. And now you are here because our system has failed you so completely that you had to steal food to survive." The veteran straightened, unsure where this was going. "I'm not here to lecture you about stealing," Caprio continued. "I want to ask you one thing. When was the last time you had a proper meal?" 6 days, Chen whispered, his composure finally breaking. Judge Caprio stepped down from the bench, walking to the front. "Mr. Chen, look at me. You served your country with honor. You earned our respect and gratitude. The fact that you are hungry and desperate is a failure of society, not of you." He turned to the courtroom. "This man is a hero, not because I say it, but because 55 years ago, he proved it in combat." Caprio returned to Chen. "The charges are dismissed. But I'm not done. Give me the phone number of the VA office that's been delaying your benefits." Chen blinked. "Everything, name of every person, case number, everything." Caprio picked up his phone. "Bailiff, get the VA regional office on the line. Now." Within minutes, Caprio had the VA regional director on the line. "Mr. Chen's case will be expedited. Benefits processed. Back pay calculated and distributed within 72 hours." The veteran wept openly. Caprio reached into his wallet. "Mr. Chen, I want you to pay Murphy's Market back the $8.47. But first, buy yourself a proper meal." He handed Chen $50. "This isn't charity," Caprio said. "This is one American helping another. You saved 7 Marines, today, let me help save 1." The courtroom erupted in applause. Spectators, officers, even the prosecutor rose to their feet, honoring the man before them. Caprio raised his hand. "One last thing, Mr. Chen. Those 7 Marines, do you ever wonder what became of them?" "Every day, Your Honor," Chen said. "Your courage saved my cousin Tony," Caprio revealed. "He came home. Lived to 68. Passed peacefully 5 years ago. He always called the Marine who saved him the bravest man he ever saw. That was you." The courtroom went silent. Robert Chen, a man who had saved lives in Vietnam, stood face to face with the family of one he saved, finally recognized and honored. The veteran, Robert Chen, stood before the family of one of the Marines he had saved 55 years earlier. Judge Caprio stepped forward and extended his hand. "Thank you, Mr. Chen. Thank you for bringing Tony home. Thank you for your service. And thank you for reminding all of us what real heroism looks like. As the two men shook hands, not a dry eye remained in the courtroom. Stories like these demand to be shared. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, and remember the power of recognizing humanity. News of Judge Caprio's extraordinary handling of Chen's case spread rapidly. Local outlets picked it up first, then national media. Within 48 hours, the courtroom video had been viewed millions of times. And just as promised, the VA expedited Chen's benefits, his back pay from the previous 8 months was reinstated, and multiple local businesses extended job offers. A week later, Judge Caprio received a letter in carefully precise handwriting, a veteran's attention to detail unmistakable. Your Honor, I came expecting justice. Instead, I found something I thought I'd lost forever, faith in humanity. Thank you for seeing the man behind the charges, for treating me with dignity, and for telling me about Tony. Knowing at least one of those Marines lived a good life makes everything I endured worthwhile. Caprio framed that letter in his office, a lasting reminder of the day compassion and justice met perfectly. 3 months later, Chen returned, not as a defendant, but as a visitor. He was healthier, well-fed, and working part-time in a local veterans organization, helping others navigate the VA system. He carried a small American flag that had flown over the courthouse. Your Honor, he said, presenting the flag, this represents everything America is supposed to be. Thank you for reminding me it still can be. Judge Caprio accepted it with tears in his eyes. Mr. Chen, you served this flag with honor in Vietnam. Today, you continue to serve it by helping other veterans. The honor has been mine. As Chen walked out that day, his head high and shoulders back, he carried once again the bearing of a Marine, proud of his service and grateful for the reminder that America at its best takes care of its heroes. But the story didn't end there. 6 months later, Chen received an unexpected phone call from Margaret Torres, daughter of another Marine he had saved during the Tet Offensive. Mr. Chen, she said, trembling, my father, Marine Corporal James Torres, died 3 years ago, but before he passed, he made me promise to find the Marine who saved his life. I've been searching for you for 3 years. Margaret had recognized the details from news coverage of Judge Caprio's courtroom. My father never forgot you, she continued. He named his firstborn son, Robert, after you. Robert Torres is now a doctor in Boston. He has 3 children. Our entire family exists because of your courage. Chen was speechless. The ripple effects of his actions decades earlier were still spreading, creating life, hope, and new generations. Margaret arranged a ceremony for the families of all 7 Marines to meet Chen, with Judge Caprio as guest of honor. The ceremony took place in the same courtroom where justice and compassion had intersected so powerfully. Standing before dozens of children and grandchildren, Chen realized the impact of his heroism extended far beyond the battlefield. Mr. Chen, Judge Caprio said, when you walked into my courtroom that day, you thought you were just another case number. But you reminded us all that behind every charge, every person, there's a human story. Your story changed how I see my role as a judge. Chen, now healthy and surrounded by the families he had saved, finally understood the magnitude of his actions. His courage in Vietnam had mattered not only in the moment of terror but for decades afterward, enabling families to exist, dreams to flourish, and love to thrive. Judge Caprio's handling of Chen's case became a turning point in the Providence court system's approach to veterans. A special veterans court was established, staffed with counselors trained to understand military service and its aftermath. Dozens of veterans found help, support, and dignity instead of punishment. The story became more than viral content. It became a catalyst for systemic change, proof that individual acts of compassion can transform communities and lives. Years later, law students asked Caprio about his most important case. He always mentioned Robert Chen, not for legal complexity, but because it taught him that justice without compassion is bureaucracy, while compassion without justice is mere sentiment. True judicial wisdom lies in knowing how to blend both. The flag Chen gave Caprio still flies in the courthouse today, a daily reminder that America's greatest strength is not its laws or institutions but the individuals willing to rise above protocol to do what is right, human, and necessary.